Howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing? Welcome on in. Will everybody get situated? You come on in. Happy Tuesday night. So in the chat, chime on in where you're coming in from. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Love to know your state and city, where you're coming in from. So go ahead and put that in the chat. And then I'm going to go ahead and kick it off by sending you guys out a link to everyone right now. It's a link for a free multifamily toolkit. In there, you're going to have obviously our ebook. You'll have a deal analyzer and a pitch deck. It's part of a little toolkit stuff. Thank you for coming on tonight, and a way to say thank you. So you can click on that, download it at any point in time. You want to do it now or you want to wait, but save that link right there, the multifamily toolkit. Got a little music, our theme music. Nice. We got Oxford, Ohio, Florida. We're going to turn our music off. Our theme music for the night. Perfect. Let everybody kind of keep on coming in here. Thank you for coming in. But yeah, just to kind of reiterate, I put a little link at the very top of the chat here, and it's a little multifamily toolkit you can have totally free. It's a great little download of pitch deck, deal analyzer, ebook. I think another little thing in there, like a checklist in there and stuff for you, 90-day guide and stuff like that. Totally free for you to have. Thanks for coming on and learning more about multifamily. Indiana, I love it. Funny enough, one of the deals we're going to look at tonight is in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then Indianapolis, Indiana. Sorry. So awesome. Cool. We'll wait just another second here and we'll get going. I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll. And we're going to start maybe with some roadblocks. I'm going to put that up. Out of the different categories of multifamily, right, in the areas in which you have to master, the pillars of multifamily, which ones are the biggest roadblocks for you? Is it the finding deals? Is it the analyzing the deals? Is it the financing and capital side? Is it the closing of the escrows, knowing how to structure and close the deals? Or is it the management, right? Once you own this beautiful 10, 20, 30, 50 unit building, how do you manage it? Or how do you hire the managers correctly? So awesome. Cool. Wait just a second. I love to see the results from everybody coming in here. So usually there's a consistent pattern. Yeah, great to see you in here. I'll acknowledge a few folks. Steve, Daniel, Dolores, Stacy, Mike. Yeah, go in and chat, chime in the chat where you're coming in from around the country. Yes, we can. Hold on one second. Then also, just getting everybody in here and we'll get going. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to end that poll and share with you guys the results. You guys can see it. So yeah, finding deals and financing and capital tends to be the major ones. Totally makes sense. Pretty common. It's where everybody kind of gets blocked in. Okay, how do I find the deals to start? Kind of get the momentum and the process going to be able to analyze and then get to the next stage of, gosh, okay, I found the deals. I've analyzed them. It looks like it's a good deal. How do I take the next step? How do I make an offer and then finance and capital? How do I put the loan and the equity together and actually get the deal done? So we're going to be going through all of that this evening and kind of showing you step by step, giving you case studies and some actual examples of deals and walking you through the process so you can understand exactly how it can be done. From a high level, we're going to dig into a little nuance, all right? We're going to get into the weeds a little bit. So if it's a little kind of complicated, don't worry about it. I can break that down for you and we can provide other resources to you to learn further. So beautiful. Austin, Texas. I was just out there, by the way, because we have properties in Texas as one of our areas that we have as well, in Austin and San Antonio. So great. Cool. Okay, I'm going to put that away and we'll get going here. Great to see everybody on tonight. So Chris and Steve and everybody. So perfect. Thanks for everybody coming on. So we're going to go and get started. So how to buy apartments in the next 90 days if you want to. I mean, we're here in the middle of August, and you got pretty much September, October, November, December. So you got a few months left in the year. You know, how could you execute on a deal between now and the end of the year in December? And at least get the process going, get into escrow. Whether you close it or not, you can move into the new year, but how could you get it going, identify, analyze, and make something happen between now and the end of the year? So we'll focus on that for you. So, cool. Make sure you click that link in the very, very top of the chat. If you scroll up in the chat, that little multifamily toolkit for everybody coming in right now, we put it in there just for free for you guys coming in. It's got a deal analyzer in there. It's got a pitch deck you can use to raise capital with. Nice little pitch deck for that and a template. Some due diligence checklists, 90-day action guide, and our ebook. So totally free for you for coming in tonight. Okay, here we go. So why multifamily? I get asked this all the time, right? People are looking at single family. Do I flip? Do I wholesale? Do I buy single family rentals? Do I Airbnb? Different facets of real estate investing. And they're all great. Nothing wrong with them. It's just what fits for you and what is best for you. Most people tend to start because there's very, very low barriers to entry in the wholesaling industry. Totally makes sense. You wholesale houses, then you're like, gosh, I should do a little bit better. Then you go into flipping houses. We still flip houses. We think it's great. And then you get into some Airbnbs because maybe you want some of that and that kind of different style of income and management and running deals. And then you're like, gosh, keep hearing about this multifamily thing. Like, but I'm hindered to it. I got these, like, it just seems so daunting and complicated, and it's not normal to me. And therefore, if I don't know and it's not normal, I'm just not going to move forward, but I'm not going to do anything. So important to note that. Okay. So that's what we're going to kind of get over some of these limiting beliefs for you tonight and move through to, like, it's not that daunting and it's actually easier for you to execute on than getting a single family rental. Okay. You just have to get through some of these roadblocks mentally and limiting belief system. So here we go. Why multifamily? Make sure this is zoomed up enough for you. And we may go a little bit over, so just hang in there. So why multifamily? You get paid 5 to 8 times throughout the course of owning a multifamily building. 5 to 8 times. Some in the beginning, some in the middle, some in the end. I'm going to go through that tonight. The economies of scale. Why in the world, let's say you're going to get 10 rentals. Why would you buy 10 single family homes, you know, all over the place, with 10 different roofs, 10 different water heaters, 10 different yards, 10 different this, 10 different that, 10 different, like 10 different, all that stuff. It just, when you can have one building in one location with 10 units in it, economies of scale, maintenance, repairs, everything, simplicity. And we'll show you that. Okay. It's easier to finance. And the reason is because you're dealing with commercial properties. When you get into commercial properties, meaning 5 units or more, the banks, the lenders giving you the loans aren't looking at you anymore. Right? Whereas if you go buy a single family home, you know how it works. They double analyze you. They want your bank statements, your pay stubs. They want your tax returns. They want to, you know, your history for 40 years. And they want to, like, dissect you down to whatever, even give you a loan on a $200,000 or $300,000 mortgage. It's easier to get $1 million loan on a commercial building than it is to get a $200,000 house loan, because the building is its own business. It's producing an income, expenses, and a profit. And that profit pays the bank. Okay? Pays the bank. That's what they care about. So you are secondary in the process. That's why it's so much easier to get the financing on a commercial property. Okay? Generational wealth. We all talk about this. You hear the term, it's thrown around quite a bit, but the generational wealth is key. Right? It's no different than my grandmother. So I'm kind of a 3rd generation investor in real estate. So my grandmother, God bless her soul, she passed away at 91, but up until that age, you know, a little Italian woman going around, and she didn't have a ton of units at that time, but she was in South Bay, San Diego. And I think she had about 40, 45 units, all owned 100% by her. Okay. She's driving around in a little S10 truck collecting rent. Right. And this is all the way back in the 90s doing this stuff. And she would do that, but she built this generational wealth for herself and her family. Right. And then she passed that on a little bit to my dad and so forth. And my dad was kind of a zero to hero guy because he got a little bit of a head start with my grandmother. She helped him get a little bit of a loan to get started. And then from there, he was able to go kind of be that transitional character in our family to really make it. But then he lost it all in the financial crisis, completely collapsed, went completely bankrupt. It was a pretty major deal. So that's kind of, now I'm here in 3rd generation, right? 3rd generation growing it. But the generational wealth is there if you do it correctly. And that's why the multifamily space is so critical because you're buying cash flowing assets. You're not stuck in the build and sell or the buy and sell game where it's very transactional, right? You're not in the flipping game that's transactional. The wholesale game is transactional. So you're not in that space. It's a long-term play. And so you're building in that consistency, the ability to sleep at night, and the generational wealth, okay? So that is the reasons why I'm multifamily. Has anybody seen this before? Because this was explained to me some time ago as to the game of money, right? The game of money. But what is money to you? So chime in the chat. What does money mean to you? Like, is it choices? Is it freedom? Like, what is money to you? Chime in the chat. I want to know. I want to kind of get a feeling for people on what money is to them. Freedom, baby. I like it. Time freedom, 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 opportunity. Yeah. Freedom and way to help others. I love that. Giving back, leaving a legacy well beyond your time here on earth. So that is my big passion too. So we'll get into that in just a second. Momentum. Cool. So also, why are you here tonight? I'm putting up this question. There's 3 options there. Why are you here tonight? Read them, participate in it, and choose which of those is to the real reason why you're here tonight listening to me. I love seeing people's responses on this. This is great. Options, freedom, choices, right? Money is choices. If you think about it, the more money you have, the more choices you have. You have a little money, you have little choices. If I have a little money and you have a little money, we both have the same choices, technically. If I have $1 million more than you, I can do everything you can do. Plus, I have $1 million more. I have $1 million more choices, okay? So, yeah, great on that. Why are you here tonight? So I'm tired and mad about my current situation. Fair enough. I need help. I want to level up. I know multifamily is the way to go, but I don't know where to start. Beautiful. Just curious. I love that. I make decent money with my current job, but I want more time with my kids, my family, more money, generational wealth. I'm tired of the rat race. Hear it all the time. Love that. So cool. I'm going to end that poll, share those results with you, and then we'll get into this so you guys can all see it. Awesome. Okay. So money is a game. This was actually a presentation given to me a few years ago, and I loved it. And I wanted to share that with you tonight. So have you ever heard of the term creators versus contributors? Creators versus contributors, because this is how the United States economy, the capitalistic system, as you know it, is designed, okay? And the IRS and all these other things and why the system in the United States is designed the way that it is, it's all based on creators versus contributors. Creators versus contributors. Creators are business owners. They're investors, okay? They're entrepreneurs. They're the people creating products or services. They're putting them into the marketplace for contributors to purchase and use. And then what happens is the money leaves the pocketbooks of the contributors and it enters the pocketbooks of the creators. And it's a big cycle, okay? So the point being is creators, what they do is tend to move the most amount of money. And when you move a lot of money in the US economy, the capitalistic system as we know it, okay, the IRS loves you. They love you. Okay, the IRS loves you. And the reason why they love you is because you're creating opportunity. You're creating jobs. You're moving money. You're creating capital opportunities. So when you do that in the US capitalistic system, the IRS is going to give you the most tax benefits, the most write-offs. So this is why contributors tend to get mad because they're like, why are they getting all this rich get richer and all this happens and they get all these tax benefits and all this and all. You're right. But they're also taking the most amount of risk. When you take a lot of risk, the IRS rewards you by giving you a lot of tax benefits. So that way you put things into the economy to help it grow and then you get richer because the IRS isn't doing this out of their good free will. They know darn well that at some point they're going to get their piece of the pie. They just want that pie to be bigger. So they give you the opportunities to grow in capitalism to get rich, 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 rich. If you work hard and you make it happen, they're going to give you all the benefits to do it. But at some point, they're going to find a way to get their piece of the piece. They're not just doing it out of good free will. They will allow you to avoid taxes for some time. They will, defer all these things you can do, get the tax write-offs. But at some point, you're paying Uncle Sam. But what they allow you to do is put it into your pocket, grow it during your lifespan, and at some point, they'll get their piece of the pie. Over here is a W-2 employee, right? If you're a W-2 employee, you get very little tax breaks, right? You're getting a Friday paycheck, working for the man, as you want to call it, right? And as a result of that, because you're not taking an enormous amount of risk based on how capitalism works and the IRS looks at it, they're not going to give you all the tax benefits of the creators. They're going to give you minimum. You're going to get the basic child tax credit and this credit and that credit, some basic ones you get to write off against, but they're going to limit you on that. So you're getting hosed, right? Because most of your taxes are coming out in your paycheck. And they do that on purpose because you're under payroll. They're going to take it all out in the payroll, and then you go through the year and you may get a refund and so forth, but you're not moving a lot of money in the US economy, and you're not taking a lot of risk, and you're not creating a lot of jobs. You're not creating a lot of opportunity. So as a result, the IRS doesn't love you. They don't love you. It's just the way it works. And I hate to be so blunt, but that is the truth of it. And when this was explained to me, it was like, right? Because then I learned you got to be a creator. And you know this. That's why you're here tonight. You all just said it, right? Because maybe a handful of you are sitting here, right? You're in the W-2. You're collecting a paycheck. You're in a 9-to-5 job. Maybe you're earning great money in it. Totally fine. But you're sitting here going, I'm in the rat race. I want this. I want that. I want the financial freedom. I want the generational wealth. I want all these things. I totally get it. I'm on your side. That's where I used to be. But in order to get the stuff you're talking about, you have to be a creator. That's why you're here tonight learning multifamily. Because when you do multifamily or any kind of investing, you're becoming a creator. You're going to move a lot of money in the US economy. And when you do that, you get rich. And when you do that, the IRS is going to love you. And you're going to get all these tax benefits. And that's a lot, because it's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. It's really, really, really important. Okay. So that is the money game of the US economy. Does that make sense? Chime in, thumbs up, if that made sense to all of you listening tonight. Because this was like a big thing for me when I understood this a few years ago. I was like, wow, I knew that, but not explained that way. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was a big hit for me when I understood. I mean, I'd already been working, understanding all that, but that really hit home when it was explained to me this way and why it's designed the way that it is. So you can't get mad. Okay. If you're sitting over here, fine, great, you're doing awesome. But if you really want what you're talking about, what you've been asking for tonight, you got to get over here. And don't get mad at these people when they're getting all the benefits. There's a reason it's happening. It's not by accident. Okay. So this gets into kind of your passions, your drives. This was another thing that was kind of brought to me last year when I went to a conference. Patrick Bet-David, I don't know if you know who he is, but went up on stage and he puts this up on screen, and it really hit home for me because money's a good motivator. It's a good motivator. It'll drive you to do things, but at some point, if you're making enough money, it doesn't become the motivator it used to be. And so you have to have other passions that are really the why inside of what you're doing and why you're getting up every day, because money's only going to get you so far. So these are the 7 mountains that move a nation and inspire people. And I want you to think of these. I'm going to put this up real quick. And you're going to choose, okay? What are your mountains? Okay, chime in on the poll. What are your mountains? Is it sports, culture, family, media, government, business, education, or religion? I'm curious, which ones are most important to you? And now keep in mind, family is also philanthropy. It's not just your personal family, it's also philanthropy giving, okay? Awesome. I love how nobody's choosing government right now because of the elections. They're like, screw this. I wouldn't either. I love that. So you have religion in there. You got family, you got business, education, sports and culture, media. Beautiful. Okay, let me end the poll. I'm going to share the results with you so you can kind of see it. So family, you can see, right? It's funny. I mean, a handful of these fall in line exactly with mine. Exactly with mine. because for me, so mine is business, obviously you have to have a successful business. Okay. I'll put this up. You have to have a successful business. So that's why everybody chimed in business. I get it. And then for me, it's kind of like, okay, well, then we can leverage media, which is how you're all here this evening. Okay. And getting, helping others, giving back, but media can help do that, right? It helps get brand and recognition and things you're doing to grow businesses, right? So business, media, and then for me, the education side to help educate and help others. Because by doing that, I went to Pepperdine University. I was fortunate enough to go there. And at the top of the school sign, there's a tagline that says, freely you give, freely you receive. Right? As a Christian school, but freely you give, freely you receive, which is the motto of, hey, you go help others, you give back, you leave a legacy, right? Freely you give, freely you receive. By helping others and educating and giving back, it pays itself tenfold. You know it, I know it, everybody knows that. And so you talk to some of the most successful people in the world and you ask them, like, what has gotten you to where you've gotten? And it's typically relationship capital. Right? At some point, they've given back, helped others, and by doing so, that's created abundance for them in their life. So education, helping others, giving back. And then you have the family side, which is both your personal family and philanthropy. Right? I don't know what philanthropies are important to you. Like we give back to Tunnels to Towers, SEAL Future Foundation, which transitions Team Navy SEAL guys into traditional civilian life, and then disadvantaged kids around the country, right, that didn't have good upbringings, right, that don't know what they don't know, that don't understand opportunity that may be in front of them. So they're in bad environments. So all three of those are important to me. So this is really important because you need to pick yours, keep them in mind when you go through this, because it's going to get you through difficult times. It's going to get you through, oh, I don't want to do it today. Oh, I want to kind of quit today, or maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. Okay. It's very, very important that these become your drivers to get your ass out of bed every day and keep you motivated, because the money is only going to go so far. Okay. Cool. You didn't know this because we had Tony Robbins talk tonight, did you? Yeah. Awesome. Here we go. So kind of, you got onto the education side. So I don't know if any of you know kind of my history and past. So I'll give you a 30-second timeline on it. So like I said, third generation real estate investor, grew up learning from my dad and my grandmother how to do real estate investing. So I kind of came from real estate a bit. Dad lost everything in the financial crisis. I had to come out of that, kind of dust myself off, get back to work, and flip some houses for a while. Then I became a realtor, luxury realtor in the Southern California market, doing luxury home sales for about 10 years. All the while, in 2010, we decided, when I say we, my business partner and I, because I went and found him, because I was out of money. I was getting my butt handed to me at that time, right? I was in real estate, financial crisis, not good. But I went to him, he was in tech. And I said, hey, Chris, here's the deal, man. I don't have any money, but I can find the deals. I can analyze them. I can put it together. I can run it. I'll roll in my commissions. I will do everything. I'll do all the sweat equity. I will do everything. Okay. You'll just collect checks. I'll collect checks. You'll collect checks. We'll split things 50-50. Let's partner up. Let me go find the deals. I just need the down payment monies for our first deal. And I need you to sign on the first loan. That's it. And then let me do everything else. And he was like, great. He wasn't in real estate. He wanted to be in real estate. He needed me, right? That's a great yin and yang. I'm adding true value to him. And he's adding value to me because he's a capital source. I'm the sweat source, if you want to call it that. And there we go. So we created our company, and that was in 2010. And we started with a $100,000 condo in 2010 in the financial crisis. And then we got into duplexes, triplexes, and some quads. I wish I would have never done that stuff and just jumped right into the 5-10 unit space, which we eventually did. And then we got into the 20-50 unit space. And then we got into, now we're in the 100+ unit space. And now we have over 550 plus units, about $160 million in assets in 5 states around the country. And that is kind of where I'm at today. And we're going to 10,000 units, right? And $1 billion in deals. That's where we're headed. So community, right? The multifamily schooled community is what was created a couple of years ago. And it came about because I had a lot of people approaching me saying, hey, Justin, like we see you doing all this stuff. I'd like to learn. Can you teach? And I said, great. Well, let's create a community of well-trained investors around the country. We're coming together, learning, being taught and trained, but then also collaborating and partnering and doing these things to grow their portfolios. Hence the reason Multifamily School was created. So that is ultimately why you're here tonight, right? To learn about community and growing, if you want to do it together. And this is why all these people are doing it throughout the country. So that is, that's the real passion behind it. That's the education side. That's the giving back side. Because by doing that, it helps us grow too. Because think about it. Let's say that there's deals that you find, right? You do your own deals. We help you do your own deals and so forth. And then maybe there's bigger deals that you can't do alone. That's how multifamily is done. That's how you scale. We never got to our 550 plus units today by doing it alone. We have partners in all of our deals in collaboration because that's how you grow. That's how you scale. There's very few people writing $20, $30 million checks on multifamily buildings. Okay. Very few. So partnerships and collaboration and community are everything. Very, very, very important. So how do you buy apartments? There are 5 pillars, which you've seen probably this before on some of my previous videos, but there are 5 pillars to buying an apartment complex. And I put these up earlier as to which ones are your roadblocks. And many people came right here and you came right here. Okay. So where we're going to focus for the next, 30, 40 minutes or so, is how do you find a deal? How do you analyze that deal? How do you finance, structure, and capitalize that deal? We're going to focus on those first 3, and then we'll briefly touch on these. Okay. How's everybody tracking me so far? Everybody good? Thumbs up? Give me a hip, hip, hooray. Awesome. Great. Really appreciate that. Okay. So people always want to ask, how do you make money in multifamily? How do you make money? Where does it come from? How do I make it? How does it roll out? Because I understand single family. I get that, but how does multifamily, how do I make money with it? Okay. Here we go. So you make money in 5 to 7, up to 8 different ways and times throughout the life cycle of owning the property. 5 to 8 times. You go flip a house, 1 time. You wholesale, you get an assignment fee, 1 time. Right? You do some Airbnbs, you're getting some recurring, which is nice, but not like this. Okay, you do some other types of real estate, a little bit, but not like this. 5 to 8 times. That is why you do multifamily. Economies of scale, and you're getting paid a lot throughout the time you own the property. Okay. Number 1, acquisition fees. 1 time, it's at the very beginning, and I'll show you how this works in a little bit, 2 to 3% of the purchase price. Okay, that's way 1. Asset management fees. So this is a way where when you're hiring property management companies, you then have to manage, right, the managers. You're managing the property managers, especially if you own multiple deals. So you're making sure they're doing their job. So for that, you get paid an asset management fee monthly, 1 to 2% of the revenue. Okay. You get then 30 to 40% of the cash flow monthly. You then get 30 to 40% of the profits. Okay. That typically happens 2 different times. 1 on a refinance and a second time when you sell. Okay. 30 to 40% of the tax write-offs. That's the biggest part, is accelerating depreciation and cost segregation to get massive tax and bonuses off of these properties. This is why my tax returns look like crap on purpose. This is why I haven't paid taxes in 8 years. You can make a lot of money, but then on paper, you do not. Get the point? So tax benefits. Then you can get paid if you're doing some renovations on your projects. You can get paid a construction management fee monthly, 5 to 8% of the construction cost. Then you could, we don't always put these in our deals, but you can put it what's called a disposition fee. It's almost like a commission for helping sell the deal for your investors when you're done. Okay. Typically 1 time, 0.5 point to up to 2% of the sales price when you sell it 3, 5, 10 years from now. Okay. Now, some other cool things I put in here, finder's fees. Okay. So there are people, similar to wholesaling in a way, there are people that go find off-market multifamily deals. And with that in mind, they bring them to us and other people. They get paid a finder's fee, typically 1% of the purchase price. In addition, they also get brought in to the general partnership, which is the main ownership of the entity. They call that a promote, right? A general partnership promote. So they're getting a fee plus a percentage ownership in the deal for finding it. There's cool ways to do this. 9th way, capital fees. So if you want to raise money, if you're part of this general partnership, you can raise money, and there are capital fees, typically 3% of the money that's raised, that you raise as part of the partnership. You can get paid that for raising the money. Okay, so there's different facets of this game. So you have to understand there's a lot of ways to make money in multifamily, which is why people are so interested in it. They just don't know how to do it or where to start. And that's why you're here tonight. Okay. Really, really, really important. So these are the 9 ways. I said there were 5 to 8. Now there's 9. But point being is there's a lot. You tell me if you can pull that off in a flip or a wholesale or a single family rental. There's just not economies of scale in that. You can't do that. It's not set up and structured the way the multifamily is. And multifamily is classified at anything 5 units or more. 5 units or more. Okay. Okay. So finding deals. Okay. Finding deals. There are only 2 ways to find deals. 2 ways to find deals. You go direct to the brokers or you go direct to the seller. I mean, I literally got 4 mailers, 3 text messages, and 4 phone calls today on our properties that we have, because a handful of them are around that kind of 5-year mark that we've owned them. And so around that time, people get the information, they start calling us. Hey, do you want to sell? Hey, do you want to do this? Hey, do you want to do that? I get it all the time. So that's between brokers and people seeking, right, direct to seller. I get called that all the time. Now, the question becomes, what's the most efficient method? What would I recommend for a new person getting into this? I'll get into that. So direct to seller, you use data, right? They have the information on us, and then you're going to mail, call, and text. I got mail, called, and text. So that happens. Direct to me, owners. And then you have direct to brokers, okay, which is the method I'm going to talk about this evening, because that's the most efficient method for you to leverage correctly when you're newer to get access to off-market, pre-market deals if you do it correctly. You do it correctly, okay? So that's how you're going to find deals. Let's get into the details a little bit of it, though. So let's talk about the method that I was mentioning, which is direct to the broker, okay? So there are websites. Let me show you. You've probably all seen this one. Okay. So this is Crexy.com. So there's LoopNet, there's CoStar, there's Crexy, a lot of different websites. Okay, websites. Okay. So point being with that is the websites only show you about 40% of the actual inventory available. So when you go on there, that's only 40% of the actual stuff for sale, because 60% is pre-market. These are the things that the brokers, they have the listings, they put together the packages, they're ready to go, but they send them to their pre-market database of investors that they have some relationships with, and they are pre-market first look deals. And if they don't sell in that first round, then they go to round 2, which is the websites, which means if it makes it to the website, what would you say that means? If it didn't sell here and it goes here, what do you think that means? Just curious. Chime in the chat. Not a good deal. Then we'll open it up for Q&A in just a little bit, Douglas. So I saw your little question in there. My team and I will monitor that, and we can help you out here in just a little bit. Expensive. Everyone passed. Ding, 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 ding. There you go. So that's exactly what it means. It means it's overpriced. Not a good deal. At the price they're asking or however they're setting it up, it doesn't make financial sense. Therefore, all the people here said, nope. Then it goes to here. And so it's either going to sell here or it's not going to sell at all. And typically through price reductions, negotiations, it's not that deals happen there. They just have to typically get negotiated down to make it happen. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. Okay. So that is how you do the direct to broker. So now the question becomes, okay, great. Well, Justin, that's obvious, but how do I get access to this 60%, right? How do I do that? How do I do that? Here's exactly how you're going to do it. You're going to leverage the brokers on market deals to get access to their off market or their pre-market inventory. To their pre-market inventory. Let me give you an example. Let's go right back to this deal that I have up on the screen. Okay. So you see down there in the left-hand corner, Steven Turnman. He is with Investment Property Advisors. That is the broker that's representing this property. So let me give you a case study for how we got into our first multifamily, when I say 5+ unit deals, 27 units, and it was in Kansas City, Missouri. I went on to Crexy.com, went into Kansas City because I was talking to some people, looking at some things. I said, hey, look at Kansas City. I said, great, let's look at Kansas City. So I understood the market. I'd already traveled out there, so forth. But I went on the website and I looked at 3 different types of properties. This is a 17 unit, okay? But I saw 20, 25, 32 unit deals in Kansas City. All of them are from the website, 3 different brokers, 3 different properties in that market. And I called on every single one of them. And I said, hey, Mr. Broker, see their property here, 123 East Street. I'm very interested in it. Give me some more details. Talk to me a little bit more about it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, great. Well, I'm going to be coming out there in about 2 weeks, touring some properties, touring the area. I'm going to come in, take a tour of the property. You doing tours and when and how. Got that information. So I set up that time to go out and look at these 3 different deals with 3 different brokers in that marketplace. And at the time I did that, I also got to tour the area. I got very comfortable with Missouri and Kansas City. Good areas, the bad areas, where to go, where not to go. I also met with some brokers. They introduced me to property managers. From the property managers, I got introduced to some construction renovation crews. So now I had my team, the little 3 in there. And then we got access because of the brokers and the relationships I made by touring these properties, shaking hands, eyeball to eyeball, making a little bit of a connection. I built the opportunity to get access to their pre-market deals. That is the process of getting it, because you will never see these pre-market deals without some relationships. It'll never happen. Now, you also want to stay (10 to 30 units would be ideal for your first complex, okay? 10 to 30 units. Why? Because anything 50 units or more, you don't have a chance in getting. Because the brokers aren't going to talk to you. They're too sophisticated. They're not going to deal with newbies. The lenders aren't going to talk to you because you have no track record. The sellers aren't going to give you a time of day. You don't have track record. So all these things about track record that everybody worries about are true when you get to a larger space. And if you have gurus and people out there trying to teach you, oh, go big, go home, right? Go to 50+ units and all this stuff. No. Unless you have a partner that's already done that before and literally has a track record, you could break into the White House before you can get a 50+ unit deal for your first one with no track record, okay? So you stay in this space for your first 2 deals. That's going to get you, it's bite-sizable capital-wise. I'm going to break a deal down for you. You can get the lending and the financing much easier being a newbie, not a problem. You can get brokers to call you back because you're typically dealing with more mom-and-pop brokers, mom-and-pop sellers. It's a smaller space for your first couple deals. I understand it's not the big home run, but it's pretty good. We started with a 27 unit, decent size, but not too big, not too small. So that's how it works, okay? Cool. So that is the science of starting the, now granted, look, there's a lot of nuance to this that we teach, right? And we mentor through. A lot of nuance, but from a high level, what I can only share with you tonight, I only have so much time. But from a high level, that's how you go direct to brokers, okay? Make sense? Cool. I'm going to stop for a second just to go through some questions real quick that people are throwing out, okay? So let's look at these real quick. So to answer your question, Douglas, so yes, so bonus depreciation is what you're talking about. So when you, under normal accounting rules, depreciate a real estate asset, it's typically over 27.5 years. That's what your accountant will tell you. However, you can accelerate that, okay, by doing a cost segregation study. These are all things we teach. Don't worry about it. You do a cost segregation study on your commercial properties, and you can accelerate that depreciation and scrunch it right into that. So you said 7 years. We typically do it in the first 5. And you get a chunk of it, like 90% of it in year 1. Now, why is that so powerful? Give you an example. If someone invests $100,000 with us, they typically will get a K1 statement, which is what comes out of the entity, negative for about $80,000, $85,000 that year that they invested with us. They take that K1 that's negative to their CPA and they say, hey, listen, I lost some money on paper. And that goes against their capital gains. Like if they have a big income issue that they have, like a taxable event, that's going to offset that. Wipe it out. Okay. You can also wipe out ordinary income depending on your status. Okay. But that's for another, that's a whole, we could spend a whole hour on that thing. Okay, but for purposes tonight, answer your question, yes, you consolidate that and you get this bonus depreciation to offset taxable income. So if you do it every year, this is why I don't pay taxes. When you do a cost seg, is it typically 80% of the, I hope I just explained that. Yeah. And we could have a whole class on that. Happy to do that. We teach that in the mentorship at length. So it's great stuff. Yeah, and to answer your question, you're Douglas, you said you have an 80 unit deal. If it's your first one, you don't have any other partners that are doing that, you have no chance in hell. I'll be frank with you. I mean, you literally go walk up to the White House, try and break in, because you have a better chance at that than that. Stay in the 10 to 30 for your first deal. Trust me. Stay in the 10 to 30. I hate to be so direct, but that is the truth. Let's see. Another question. I get apartment sales sent in my email. Are those potential deals? Yes, Audrey. Yes, they are. So even though they're sent out marketing wise, she's saying, hey, I get emails sent. I get marketing emails about deals sent to my email. Are those decent deals? Maybe. Yeah, because they are still pre-market opportunities sometimes too. They're not live yet, fully live on the websites. So they will blast those out if you're on their email list. So yes, it could be a good deal. You want to get a little deeper on that, obviously, with the brokers and build a little more relationship. You may get it a little bit sooner. Okay, but yes, it can be a good deal. What if you leverage me? Well, if we were to partner on a deal, that's possible, Douglas. That's very true. And mentees and stuff in the mentorships get that. So that's very true. It's an option. But we don't just do that with anyone. We have to have some sort of a working relationship before that's going to happen and know that you know what you're doing and so forth. So, but yeah, certainly an option. Love that idea. Cool. Okay. So what is considered a good deal? Because I get that a lot of times too. Great. So I found the deal, Justin. Found it. And I'm going to start to analyze it. But what metrics should I be looking for? What information should I be looking at to see, is it a good deal? Should I move forward with it or not? And be able to do that pretty quickly. So there's lots of metrics, and these are all on the deal analyzers. It's actually on the deal analyzer in that link that we sent you in the very beginning. You get a freebie. It's in that deal analyzer. So it has lots of metrics in there. Okay, but for the purposes of this, keep it super simple. The high level ones you need to focus on: annual returns, right? Also known, you could IRR, it's called IRR, internal rate of return, 14 to 20% or more. Cash on cash, COC, cash on cash of 6 to 10% or more. Equity multiple, that's what that stands for. Equity multiple of 1.8 times or more. Meaning, if I give you 100 grand, I get 180,000 back. If I give you 100 grand, I get 180,000 back. 1.8 times. That was 200 grand, 200 grand. Okay, that's how that works. But those are the big metrics you're looking at when you're underwriting these deals to see, hey, is it good for me? Would it entice investors to come in on the deal? Would someone be interested in the deal to invest alongside me? They would if it meets these. Okay, you'll be able to attract people. You just need a deal that makes financial sense. And I'll touch on that here just briefly. Okay, awesome. So that is how you determine from a high level what makes a good deal. Okay, so analyzing the deal. I'm going to slide this down so you guys don't see that answer, because I'm going to run a quiz. Do all of you understand, NOI stands for net operating income, but do you realize the power of net operating income? And why would you want that net operating income as high as you possibly can? Why? Chime in the chat. Why do you want net operating income as high as humanly possible? Yep. Yep. Yeah. Good answers coming in. To be able to weather slow times. Yeah, that's true too. Max the cash flow out. Increase the value. You can leverage it and buy more deals with other people's money. That's right. More profit. NOI is the valuation used with the cap rates. Dead on. Chris, dead on. Pay the bills. Yep, you got to pay the bills. But the NOI is actually after you pay the bills, just FYI. But I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. But let me show you the power of it, okay? I'm going to show you the power of it. So, if you want to get rich in multifamily, period, your job, your sole purpose in multifamily is to get that net operating income as high as humanly possible for this exact reason. The power of the NOI, okay? For every $1,000 a month that you can boost that, let's take a 10-unit property, you boost the rents $100 each. That gives you the $1,000 a month. By doing that, you increase the value to $220,000. By increasing the value, the net operating income of that building, $1,000 a month, it's $12,000 a year. Okay, you increase the value by $220,000. How? Okay, how? I'm going to show you that here in just a minute, but let me show you why. Because the value of the building equals the net operating income over the cap rate. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute. So if you increase this, the cap rates are what help determine valuation. And there are general cap rates for a market. Don't worry about this right now. Brokers have this information. When you see comps of sales, they establish that. Valuations of buildings help establish cap rates, but don't worry about it. But for the sake of this, let's say we are using a 5.5% cap rate, and we are using an NOI of $12,000 that we increased it. Okay, let's think about this for a minute. So I increased the NOI $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. Divided by 5.5% cap rate, that's $220,000. So I increase, with all else being equal, I increased the value of that building 200. I literally stuck it right in my pocket, 220 grand, by getting the tenants to pay a little bit more money and increasing the NOI, the net operating income at the bottom, $1,000 a month. I just literally stuck $220,000 in my pocket by doing that alone. Okay, so that is the power of NOI. That is the power of NOI. So let's walk through a basic formula. And I don't care if it's a 2-unit property or a 200-unit property. Doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. The same formula applies. Now, there's a lot of like line items in each one of these sections, but the focus is similar. You have gross rents, right? Or gross income, gross potential income on the property. What is the market gross rents? Okay, gross income. Then you're going to take out economic loss. Let me pull this over here so you can see it. Now, economic loss includes vacancy, physical vacancy, loss to lease. That is the difference between market rent and what you're getting. If there's a delta there, if you're getting less than the market, that's a loss to lease. Okay, loss to lease. Bad debt. Sometimes people don't pay rent. Okay, sometimes people don't pay rent. Concessions, right? You have to sometimes help people. Concessions are pretty heavy in the market right now because you have to keep people in units. You have to give concessions out to keep people there. All this stuff happens, concessions. So that is your economic loss. This is very, very, very important because right now, I'd say anywhere outside of the coastal zones of the United States, right, outside of California and the Eastern Seaboard, it's probably somewhere in the 12 to 18% total economic loss. When you add all these up, they come off of your gross potential income right now in today's market. Okay, so that's that. Now you add in other income. This could be pet rent, it could be parking income, could be trash income, could be administrative fees, right? Sign-up fees, application fees. There's like a ton of things you can add in for other income. This includes reimbursables for any utility expenses that you can get reimbursed by the tenant to you. So there's different things in there. Okay, you add in the other income. This gets you to a thing called EGI. It's called effective gross income. Effective gross income. Then you take out all of your property expenses. This is property taxes. This is insurance, repairs and maintenance, general administrative, property management, capital expenditures, things like that. Okay, but typically come out of your expense line items, and then you get to this powerful number that we talked about, okay? Net operating income. That helps you establish your value, which we just showed you. So if I know the NOI and I know the price, right? Let's say I wanted to figure out what the cap rate is. If I knew what the price of the property was, they were giving me the price, and I knew what the net operating income was, I could tell you what the cap rate would be. Because the cap rate, if I know two of the three, it's basic algebra. If I know two of the three, I can figure out the third. The cap rate formula equals the net operating income over the value or the price, right? Call it the price, whatever you want, value or price. But that's how you figure out cap rates. Okay? But that is your formula for analyzing any deal. So the deal analyzer that's in that link that we gave you at the very, very top of the chat, if you want to scroll all the way up, and our Kevin or Shai, if you want to throw that in there now for the toolkit, again, that way you guys can have that totally free. It's going to have a deal analyzer in there. It's going to have a pitch deck in there. It's going to have all kinds of stuff in there. Just basic toolkit for you to get started with. Okay, just for coming on tonight. Okay, but that's your formula. The deal analyzers do all that for you, and then you take out your loan. Okay, take out your loan on the property, and now you get to that sexy number that we all like to put in our pockets, give out to investors, that's the free cash flow. That's what you're taking home. You're taking home. And that is your formula for any kind of rental property, let alone multifamily apartment buildings. Okay. That's how you do it. Does it make sense so far? Thumbs up, down, if it makes sense. Cool. Awesome. Great to see everybody following it. Okay. So let's get to the next stage. So think about what we've done. So we've taught you how to find the deal, showed you how to do basic analyzation, providing you some tools, freebies tonight for you. Now let's talk about the money, raising the money, because this is usually where everybody's biggest bottleneck is at, right? They're like, yeah, I can find the deals, Justin. I can analyze them. But then I get to this money thing, and I don't have a lot of money. So how do I actually buy a 10, 20 unit, 30 unit apartment building with very little out-of-pocket money? How do I do that? Structure the deals and have it make sense, and then attract other money in to do it alongside me. How do you do that? Here we go. So raising the money. Here we go. Money is two forms in a deal. It is the debt, which is the loan, and the equity, which is the cash down payment. Okay, that's how it's structured. Now, this is called like a capital stack, right? And stack. You have your loan, which is in first position, meaning you lose your money first before the bank loses theirs in a deal. So if something goes south, heaven forbid, and the bank takes the property back, heaven forbid, the bank gets paid first, you get paid last. Okay, that's why you have the capital stack. But the bank's going to give you a loan on a multifamily building somewhere in the 65 to 70% of the value of the building. Okay, the equity is coming from you, from down payment. It can be also be coming from other people's money, OPM. You've heard of those terms, and we're going to go through that in just a minute. But 35% of the equity. So what makes up the equity? Typically, it can be done through creative financing, investors, other people's money, combination of your money, private lenders, partnerships. So that's how you put it all together. That's how the equity gets done. This is how, on even our first 27 unit deal, we were out of pocket $15,000 out of pocket. And we had control in general partnership ownership of a 27 unit apartment building for $15,000 out of pocket. I'm going to break a couple deals down right now. Okay. So that is the science behind the raising money. Now I'm going to get into a little detail for you. Okay. So let's actually break down the deal that I found on Crexy for you guys. This one's in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, a little 17 unit deal. I don't know if it makes any sense. That's irrelevant right now. But to kind of show you how we're going to financially break that thing down and structure the deal, I'm going to show you that right now. Okay. So here we go. Beautiful. So 17 unit deal. How do we structure it? They're asking $1,250,000. Awesome. We're going to have about $100,000 in closing costs. This is going to include your acquisition fee, legal, escrow, title, due diligence, inspections, all kinds of stuff. Okay. 100 grand. May or be less than that, but 100 grand. $170,000 in renovation. So it's a 17-unit building. So I'm going to presume maybe we're going to put $10,000 a unit and improve and renovate the property to raise the rents. Okay. So you got price, closing cost, renovation cost, all in $1,520,000 total cost in the deal. So now how do we structure that financially? We're going to go out and from a bank, we have plenty of lenders in our system that we give out to our mentees. We have 3 or 4 in the back end of the system they submit all their deals to, and they can help with the financing. Okay. But on the loan side, 70% loan to cost. So about $1.1 million would be an approximate loan on this deal. So at $1.1 million, total cost is $1.520 million, $1.1 million loan. That leaves $420,000 left over. How do we put that $420,000 together? That's the equity needed to close the deal. Okay. You, as the general partner, the person putting the deal together, okay, you're the general partner on the deal. You're putting it together. You're going to come in with about 10% of the equity. You can put in more, not a problem. You can put in as much as you want. But if you have limited capital, this is how you do it. $42,000, 10% of the equity you bring in. Okay. The rest, 90%, is going to come in from OPM, other people's money. That's all these sources that we talked about on the other page. Okay. That's the 380. Now, here's the cool part. Remember I said the acquisition fees, right? You're going to get an acquisition fee based on the purchase price of the property of about 3%. That's $37,500. Well, you put in 42, you got $37,500 literally out at the close of escrow. It's like Peter to pay Paul thing. It's built into your closing costs. Like your money goes in, 37,000 literally comes right back out in your bank account. Okay. So you're technically out of pocket $4,500. And now you have control over a 17-unit apartment deal in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then you have other people's money and everybody involved in it. Keep in mind, this deal, in order for you to move forward on it, 14 to 20+% return. Remember we talked about that? What makes a good deal? 6 to 10% plus on the cash on cash. Equity multiple of 1.8 or more. Because if it meets those metrics or better, let's move forward. Otherwise, keep moving. But that would attract the money. You'll attract money. You have a good deal that makes financial sense, you will attract the money. You just need a good process. We'll get into that in just a second, okay? But that, just so you understand from a high level, $1,520,000, $1.1 million loan, that's the equity. Equity gets broken down like this. Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit more here in a second. But you're really out of pocket $4,500. $4,500. Pay attention to that number. So let's walk into the structure as this pulls up. Here we go. So how would you structure it? And my writing's horrible, by the way, my drawings. I could put some windows in it, at least. Maybe do some windows. Windows. Now it kind of looks like a building. There we go. A little bit better, a little bit better. So the property address LLC that owns the property, right? You have a general partner, that's you. Then you have limited partners, that's your investors or OPM right over here. You, for bringing in 10% of the money, remember, you're getting 30 to 40% of the ownership over here. Over here, the limited partners, those are your passive investors. They don't have voting rights. They don't have control. You have all the control. They're just investing in you because the deal makes sense. Okay, they want to make some money. You want to make some money. Everybody wants to make some money. That's why they're here. So let's break it down. So for bringing in 90% of the money, they're getting 70% of the deal. Plus they're getting an 8% preferred return. We won't get into that tonight. Okay, it's kind of a little, it's called a pref, right? But your investors, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they'll be bringing in this kind of money. This could come from seller financing. This could be a friend of a friend of a friend. It could be anybody, right? Anybody. Guys, you'd be shocked. If you have a deal that makes financial sense and you have a process and a pitch deck and everything to present that deal and a good process to present that deal, you'll raise the money. It's not that hard to raise money when you have a good deal that makes sense. If I came to everybody on this webinar tonight and I said, hey guys, I have this 17-unit deal in Cincinnati, Ohio. Projected returns are 18% a year on your money. Minimum investment's $25,000. It's a 3 to 5 year investment and 18% annualized returns on your money projected. Do you know anybody that may have some interest? You may say, well, I mean, it's real estate. Yeah, I may have some interest. Can you send me some information? Sure, I can. Here's your pitch deck. It's going to walk through the deal. It's going to break everything down in terms of how much money, where it goes, how long, what's the returns, all the deal, the area, the info about the deal, everything about the deal. Pitch deck. And by that, it's going to answer 90% of your questions. And then we'll have another conversation. And then at that point, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm actually super interested myself. I have another friend that may have $25,000 minimum investment, 18% returns on our money. Love it. And great. So let's make sure I like you and I trust you, and then we can maybe get involved in the deal. So that's how that process goes. But you lead with the deal. The deal is your magnet. Without a good deal, you won't actually get any money. You'll just get what's called soft commitments. You'll get people to say, sure, when you have a deal, I'll invest with you. But when you have an actual deal that's tangible and real, the money will find you. It will. Trust me. If you have a good pitch deck, process, and a way to do it, and a good deal, it'll make sense. So 4 or 5 investors. Now, here's the cool thing. Here's the best thing about multifamily. You get to double dip. You get to double dip. And hang in there. We're running long tonight, but that's okay. You get to double dip. So remember I said you're 42,000? Remember, you put in 42 grand, right? You put in 42 grand. You got that as a fee, but that's still in the deal, okay? You get to be your own limited partner in your own deal. You get this, but you also get to double dip. Your money actually invests as your own limited partner in your own deal, and you get that. So you get to double dip. So this is what you get out of the deal. You get the acquisition fee. Showed you that. You get an asset management fee. You get that. You get 30% of the cash flow, 30% of the profits and the cash out. You get an 8% preferred return too. You get that because you're here. And then you get your percentage of the 70% of the cash flow and profits because you're getting that over here too. You're getting to double dip the deal. Very standard. You're making money all over the place because you're the general partner. You put in a lot of time, effort, energy, money, time, everything. You're solving big problems. So therefore you make big money. That's why you do this. You're not in this to like make pennies. You're in this to do well. Otherwise you're not here. Otherwise just stay in flipping and wholesaling and other stuff. You're here to do well. That's why you do this. Okay. But this is the benefits you get out of doing this and putting this stuff together, right? You get paid handsomely when you do this right. Okay. So that is the benefits of structuring a deal and running it. Okay. That's how you do it. Does that make sense? Do I create a lot of questions? Chime in now. That way I can answer it. This will be good Q&A. Because this is usually where people kind of get stuck. Or a lot of question marks and they're like, you lost me, Justin. You lost me. Perfect. Awesome, Douglas. Makes sense. Great. Love it. Beautiful. Yeah, so that's kind of breaking it down structurally, how that deal is going to be put together. So makes sense. Good. I'm glad I'm explaining it okay. You bet. You bet, Rob. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. Hang in there with me for a few more minutes. We're going to brush through the closing process just briefly. So when you go close on a deal, you're going to be dealing with inspections. Remember, we're not going to get into this too much. The legal, the finance, and the renovations. That's a process for closing. So we teach and handhold this, like every single sector of this process, but it's a key factor. Because imagine, like, you found a deal, you've analyzed it, now you're in escrow, you're putting together all the money. Oh gosh, I need to do inspections. I need to do financial, physical, legal. I'm dealing with escrow. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in a closing process, and making sure you're doing that correctly and being handheld correctly is critical. So you don't make any big money mistakes, because that's like the moment, right? You're bringing in any investor money, you got your money, you got bank money, all the inspections going on. There's a lot of moving parts. So you got to run this thing really well and just know what you're doing. And if you have any questions, you're going to be able to bounce them off people. Okay. So the closing process, managing. Some people like to self-manage. We self-managed all of our deals in the beginning, but then we said, we want third-party property managers, right? We want to outsource that so then we can focus on what we do best. And that is finding, analyzing, raising capital, putting deals together, making them happen. And then we just want to become good asset managers, manage the managers. This allows you, okay, if you're in a 9-to-5 job, because most people, right, they're not in a position right now where they can just come cold turkey into this and have nothing else to do. You got to pay the bills. You have family. You have a job you go to 9-to-5, or you have a career that's earning you money. You need that to earn you money. And then this is now a side hustle, but you want to grow this over here in multifamily to a point where now you can make a choice to leave and do whatever you want to do, right? That's the freedom, the money, the financial stuff, generational wealth, all those things you're kind of wishing and hoping and praying for. Well, you got to leave one to go to the other, or at least have a choice to do that. But you're going to have to double hustle, and that's okay. But you have to understand that 4 to 6 hours a week, like 4 to 6 hours a week is enough to get started and do pretty well with this. If you know what you're doing and you have the right hand-holding process to do it, you can do it 4 to 6 hours a week. Okay. Awesome. Cool. So become a good asset manager, know how to hire good property managers, and we teach that. Okay. That's that. So let me run through a 31 unit deal that we actually did, right? This is an actual example of a deal I did, and I can walk you through $18,000 out of pocket to have control of a 31 unit deal. Okay. Let me show you this. I'm going to break it down real quick. So 31 units. Bought it for $1,525,000, put $400,000 in renovation into it. Closing costs of $225,000, all in 2.1 change. We went out and got a loan for $1,500,000. That was 70%. Remember, we brought in 30% equity, about $645,000. I brought in 10%. That was the $64,000. 90% came from friends and family and people we knew, people we didn't know. We had a good deal that made financial sense, so the money was attracted to it. Okay, money was attracted to it. I got an acquisition fee of $45,000. 64 went in, 45 came out. I was out of pocket $18,500. And I was in control of a 31 unit deal as a general partner. What did I get? In 24 months, we did a cash out refinance because we were fortunate enough on this deal. Remember, we bought it for $1,525,000. We increased the value to $3.6 million, right? They're not always this home run, but this was a good one. Increased the value, but through renovations and boosting rents and everything to $3.6 million. So when we did a cash out refinance, we put a new loan on it, still at 70% loan to value, but that was sufficient enough to pay back all the investors, pay out everybody, get us a return on top of that. Okay. And we had all our money out of the deal in 24 months. Now we're playing with house money. It was beautiful. Okay. Typically, when you do a cash out refinance, it's about 60% of the money you have in, you get out when you do a cash out refi. Okay. So 100% of that out. Asset management fee of 1% paid monthly. We got 40% of this deal. So of the profits and the cash flow, I was getting 40% of that every month. Okay. So $2,000 a month for 5 years, that's $120,000. Net profits on the deal of $470,000 on top of that. So I made $590,000 on an $18,000 investment. I mean, it's a 32x. Okay? And this doesn't even take into account the tax benefits. I don't pay any taxes on that either. Okay, so we had enough losses that came through from that deal and others. No taxes. Tax-free. When you do it right. When you do it right. Okay, you have to learn this stuff when you do it right. Okay. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay. So look, man, I mean, that's kind of like the crux of it. So learn how to find deals, analyze them, raise the capital, understand like the basic closing process, understand really the management side of it, walk you through a few case studies and examples on how to do this stuff, If you are interested in a community, right, you want to come into the multifamily school, which we have, and learn and collaborate and partner and do these things, we have that available to you if you want to do it. Completely up to you. So we have the multifamily school community if it's something you're interested in. So what we can do, for anybody interested in tonight, if you're interested in, put your name and your phone number in the chat privately, so don't send it out to everybody unless you want everybody to see it. Do it to the host and panelists, your name and your phone number if you have interest in being mentored and coming into the community, okay? And I'll just lay it out there for you straight up so I don't kind of hide it. So it's $8,800, okay? $8,800. However, what we're doing for people on the webinar, twofold, okay? If you're interested and you want to kind of learn more about it, right, and just get information, right? We're going to wipe that out, and it's going to be $7,800. Okay. In addition to that, and that's if you pay in full. Okay. But that's normally. Okay. But if you need a payment plan, because some people do, depending on your situation, right? We can look at it. We can do payment plans on this, okay, and still give that to you from the people on the webinar tonight. We don't do it across the board, but for the people on the webinar tonight that have some interest and you want to learn more, you want to look at the community and see if it's a benefit, if it's the right fit for you. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But we're going to do that for you. So that way you're going to cut that off $1,000 for the people, and we can offer the payment plans for people that are interested in learning more and getting into it. We can talk about that. But put your number and your name in the chat, and the host and panelists. And then I'm also going to give you guys this link. You can book a informational call. Okay. I'm going to send that out to you. And it is for 12 months, just so you understand how it works. So it's lifetime access to everything. And then it's a 12-month mentorship. And by the way, it's with me. Okay, you're not getting some random hired coaches. You're not getting random people. We keep it pretty intimate, right? You're going to get me weekly. You get a success coach that gets assigned to you as well. You get your private portal on the back end. You get access to all of our communities of 2,400 people where everybody are talking and collaborating, doing deals, all of that. It's pretty exclusive and pretty elaborate. But if you want more information on how it works and you just want to get information on it, totally fine. We want to provide that to you tonight. So the link is in the chat. Okay, the link's in the chat. You can book a informational call, right? No high sales on it, but just that way you can understand this more. Additionally, let me give this to you guys, because this will actually break it all down, just so you understand in grave detail what's actually included. Let me put this in there for you. This is the link to the informational page for the mentorship. It's going to break everything down for you, exactly what's included on there. You can click that link as well to book a informational call. Okay, and that'll get you in and we'll talk all about it. Like I said, no high sales, but if you're interested in it, we can definitely discuss it more. Okay, but that's all in there for you. Okay, all in there for you. So I want to open it up into Q&A right now. If people have questions on this or anything we've talked about tonight, I want to go through that right now. Any of the deals, how you structure them, how you finance them, any of that stuff. I'd like to open it up for everybody right now, whether that's Dolores, Douglas. We got Rob. Love it. Let's do this. I should just call people up on screen. Does anybody want to come up on screen? Does anybody want to talk about a deal that they're maybe looking at that you'd like to chat about real quick, last few minutes? Go ahead and chime in the chat. Great, Douglas. Well, then just, click the links there. Take those links and click on them if you have interest. Okay. Like I said, we're not doing any high sales crap or anything like that, but it's a matter of you learning. And if you have interest in getting mentored correctly, learning all this stuff and getting into multifamily in the next 90 days and all of that. Oh, and I didn't even add on it. By the way, we have a 90-day guarantee. I didn't even touch on that. You'll see it on the page, by the way. We have a 90-day guarantee that basically says, look, if we can't help locate a deal for you that makes financial sense in the next 90 days, you can ask and request a refund. Straight up. Okay? We put a 90-day guarantee on it because we want you satisfied. Okay? If we can't help locate a deal that makes financial sense for you in the next 90 days and help you in that process and mentor you and coach you through the process, you can request a refund. Okay? We like to put our money where our mouth is. Let's see. Lewis says, let's do. I get typically stuck on the CR percentage, especially with the rates being high. Cap rate percentages. Yes. So to give you an idea, so right now in the marketplace, just so you understand where interest rates are at, and this is where the financing and understanding the right financing to go through is going to be critical. So if you went out and got $1 million loan in today's market, and it's called small balance, you'd be somewhere between 5.8% and probably 6.2% rate. And you'd get somewhere between 65 to 70% loan to value on the deal. Okay. Now, begin with the end. So I understand what they may be asking. That's irrelevant. What's the property actually worth? And then it's your job to negotiate through that, because the property is only worth what you can do to it. If you can put X loan on it and it has to financially pencil for the banks and for you, then you're going to work your way back. And I understand it may not be what they're asking. I get it. Once again, on the websites, it's probably not. So that's why understanding how to find the good deals is a critical piece to that puzzle, right? It's a critical piece to the puzzle, because most stuff on the websites may not make sense. Okay, that may not make sense. So Daniel, on the little toolkit, check your spam. Check your spam. We'll double check it. You know, for folks that came in on that, we'll double check, but check your spam email. You should have gotten a welcome email if you downloaded that freebie. Okay. We'll have to double check that then. Yeah, usually it is if there's something going on, but we'll double check. Cool. Yeah, I found it in the spam, Chris. There you go. Yeah, double, triple check your spam. If you have filters on your emails, a lot of people do, it's likely going into spam until you move it over. Stacy, is there a reason? Can you go ahead and put your name and your phone number in the private chat to the hosts and panelists? We'll figure that out for you. I don't know why you're not able to book. We were just on there. It seemed to work just fine. Do we need to put eyes on the properties or trying to buy, even if they're across? Yeah, you need to see every property. You don't buy anything without walking it, every single unit. So, I mean, no different than when we got our first deals out of state. You know, you get it the minute you're into escrow. Typically, you're saying the escrow process is usually 90 days, 60 to 90 days. So your first 30 is for due diligence, inspections, all that other stuff. And then you have 30 to 60 days post that to close the escrow. So you have time. And you go into escrow, and then you set up your inspections. You travel out, or if it's out of state, travel out there. You do your inspections with your team, and you have it all done. But yes, you're going to walk the properties in great detail. That's where you need people to know how to help you close. Because if you make big money mistakes, you miss something, very expensive. You don't want to miss anything. Very important. Very, very, very important. Rob, yes, I included the remodel as part of the loan. Yes, correct. So depending on the type of financing you get, the lenders do include renovation dollars as part of the total financing package. Okay. They may split it up a little bit. They may give you a portion for the acquisition, right? And then a portion for your renovation. They'll split it up, but yes, it's all can be included. That's correct. Is 100% financing possible with 70% loan to value from the bank and 30% from seller, or do banks not allow this? Banks will allow that. You got to keep seller financing. Depending on how they structure it, it could come in as a convertible note. It could come in as private equity. There's different ways to structure that seller financing. Private lenders can fill in that gap and stuff. The banks are going to want to see that wherever the equity is coming in, whether it's from seller financing or some form, they're going to want to see that you have some skin in the game, right? But whether private lenders can help fill the gaps. So you can have very little out of pocket, but realistically, you don't want to over leverage the properties, guys. Like that is rule sin number one. Don't over leverage. You have to understand people want to invest in real estate. That's why you're here tonight. You wouldn't be here. You and millions of others want to do this. You just need to get over the roadblock of having people invest in your deals, right? Using other people's money. It's a very powerful and valuable tool. And once you understand and you have a good deal, you have a pitch deck, and you have a good process, raising capital is not that difficult to do, especially on a smaller scale, which is why we advise and teach and mentor smaller to start, 10 to 30 units, walk through that, get the success, get the win. Now rinse and repeat, and then you go big. You want to go big. But that's how you do it. So I would have more equity in the deal. I wouldn't jack it up with all this financing, because any blip, party's over. Don't over leverage your deals. Okay, that is sin that you don't want to make, right? Sin that you don't want to make. What do you need to scale your business today? Are you asking me, or is that for you, Rob? Me. What do I need to scale my business? Well, we're raising money all the time. Like, we have a deal we're getting ready to ink on. It's a 50-unit deal in San Diego. That's going to be a $22 million deal all in. We're raising capital for that. We have a $25 million fund. That also invests along and partners alongside our mentees in deals, but also deals we're finding around the country. So, I mean, it's really capital, access to more and more capital, because I can find deals. I can put them together. I can run operations. That's not the problem. But yeah, having a good source to where if we lock in good deals, we know we have an executable partner to go take it down. So, and we're doing larger deals. So for the most part, we're not, for the most part, depending on where it's at, anything outside of the coastal parts of the US, it needs to be 150 units or more. Because otherwise the economies of scale for us and our partnerships are not there. Right? When you're getting started, you start smaller and then you scale up. But for us, it needs to be there. But when you're doing smaller deals, say in San Diego, you're buying at $300,000-$400,000 a unit versus 50 to 150,000 a unit, right? You can get more units. Well, Daniel, I think you put your name. We'll take a look at it. That's odd. Well, if you put your name, which I think you did, and your number in the private chat, we'll reach out to you and set that up, and we'll make sure. If you want to put your email in there too, we'll see if there's something wrong with that calendar. But when I clicked on it, there was times. Yeah, when I click on it now, there's plenty of times on that link. So let me set this in there again for you guys, because that's that actual link right there. There should be plenty of times in there. Plenty of times in there. Cool. Yeah, where's the 66 unit at, Carl? Because we typically don't invest in California anymore. There's very specific instances when we would. So, oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, that's another link for you, Daniel. So, awesome. Any other questions? How do you feel? Love the Florida market, Dolores. Love the Florida market. We have several mentees down there. I'll be in Florida at the beginning of September for a conference. Love the Florida market. Good market. Myrtle Beach. Cool. I don't know the Myrtle Beach market too well, but that's in Florida, right? If I'm not mistaken. This is what I want to clarify. Yeah. Oh, South Carolina. Cool. Yeah, that's a great market too. Yeah, great. South Carolina, all the Carolinas are great. Georgia, any of the Sun Belts, really. Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Florida, any of the upper Midwest. You got Missouri, Ohio, Tennessee, Michigan, parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, and then Eastern Seaboard a little bit. I mean, Connecticut, not bad. Kentucky's obviously great. Any of those Midwestern states in there, Virginia, West Virginia. It's all about population growth and jobs. Okay, population growth and jobs. So the Sun Belt states have it. We know population and job growth is there because you have the everybody moving into those states. But the upper Midwest is great too. Ohio, Indiana, all those are great markets. A lot of growth happening up there too. So Um, here's the last question. Is anybody going to the Vault conference with Patrick Bet-David in early September? If you are, I'm going to be there. I don't know if anybody here is going to be there, but I'm going to be there. Would love to meet with everybody there. Voss, one of the people in here, and asked, can we do mobile home parks? Yes, we own 6 mobile home parks. So we know the mobile home business. We own 6 mobile home parks. Multifamily, mobile home parks. We don't have storage, but we know the storage market, storage facilities. But the Vault is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with Patrick Bet-David. They have the Rock Johnson's the main speaker, and then they have a couple other speakers in there. Obviously got Patrick, and it's a really good conference to go to if you're looking for business strategy and growth. But that's September 3rd, 4th through the 8th. 4th through the 8th. September 4th through the 8th. You can Google that, the Vault conference, Patrick Bet-David. I think they still maybe have some tickets. I think they have some 2-for-1s too. But I'll be there. We got the CEO spots and everything. But Rob, it's in Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, right in that little pocket. Beautiful. Yeah, for everybody, stay in touch with us. We will reach out to you on the phone call, set them up. If you guys have any interest in learning more, we're here as a resource. Like I said, freely you give, freely you receive. Create a community of well-trained investors that are doing things around the country, because everybody wins. You get rich, you get to what you need to do, helps us grow. We can partner and collaborate alongside people and teach you along the way for people that are executing in the market. So that's what this whole big project is all about, okay? It's to help educate, train, collaborate, partners, community, okay? Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Dolores. Really appreciate it. Yeah, go Florida, man. Good market. Tampa Bay, Orlando, good little pocket. Jacksonville's great. South Florida, we almost bought a 31-unit deal there just recently. Smaller deal, but we're going to flip it. Because there's flipping opportunities too in Florida, where you can go in and buy these smaller ones and flip them in 12 months. There's opportunities there. So if you're in Florida, if you like that market, you can actually burn and turn, like flipping a house. You can flip an apartment complex, but do it quickly, like a 12 months, 18 months max, and you're in and out. So that's an option. Houston, Texas. Only if you live in Houston. If you don't live in Houston, do not invest in Houston. I say that because if you're living in Houston, if you're in Houston, you know the flooding, and you know the nice little things that come off the Gulf called hurricanes. They like to sit right on top of Houston, and Houston's built on a slab of clay. So it's cool to invest. Great city, ton of growth, amazing opportunities, but you need to live in Houston. You need to know the Houston market, then good place. Otherwise, you have Dallas-Fort Worth, outskirts of Austin, San Antonio, northern portion of San Antonio, coming up the I-35 corridor. We're all along that. Good parts of Texas. Yeah, Jeff, totally understand the sponsor side of it. So, and like I said, part of the community is partnering with people, but we need to make sure you're well trained. We need to know what you're doing. You need to have so that's why you start smaller, right? You start smaller. You start the 10, 20, 30 unit space. I had 0 experience in multifamily syndications when I got our 27 unit deal. 0. Before that, we'd done little duplexes. Okay? And it is so I had to learn, get educated, mentored, and then I could execute now. And then I could partner, because now I'm partnering. Our partners, we don't take down 200 unit deals alone. We have partners in on those deals. So the same thing would happen. We can sponsor and help and partner, right? But we need to make sure that you're trained and you know what you're doing. And you need to start by executing on some deals. We can help you do that. That's not a problem. Yeah. 32 unit and a 40 unit that I'm negotiating now. Beautiful. A 32 unit you could take down. Do you know how much they're asking for that, Jeff? $1 million. Oh, for 32 units? Shit. Excuse my language. Jeff, you're totally taking that down. Where's it at? Texas. Where in Texas? Amarillo. I don't. My question would be, do you know Amarillo? Like, are you comfortable with that market? Okay. Yeah, because we don't invest in what's called tertiary markets. So that's a tertiary market, meaning it's not a top 75 MSA, metropolitan statistical area, right? Metropolitan, the reasons for job growth and population growth. So I don't know Amarillo that well, but as long as there's multiple employers in that marketplace that drive the jobs and population, right? And you feel comfortable with that because you know it, then you can invest in that market. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it because it's only going to take one good recession and that building that is 90% occupied or more goes to 70% like that. And then that so-called investment that looked great on paper looks like crap pretty quick. So you want to be tactful. So as long as you know that market, metropolitan statistical area, MSAs. So one of the things when people come into the mentorship, one of the documents you get in the back end is all of the data, free data and websites that we use to analyze markets and where to invest. So one of those is the MSAs, right? So that way you can go in population, job growth, like little metrics, median household income, median rents, things you need to look for pretty quickly to identify a good market. So that way you go and invest in it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know Amarillo. It could be a good little market. I just don't know it that well, but it could be pretty good. Okay, cool. Knoxville, Tennessee, awesome market. Small, but awesome. Anything from Nashville, Knoxville, that Tennessee market's kick ass. Memphis is unique. We're not in Memphis. You need to know the Memphis market to invest in there. You got to really know it because there's good areas, bad areas of Memphis, right? You just need to know the demographics and the market and things so you can do well there. You can pick up great deals in Memphis. Great deals. Does have some interesting laws. That is very true. Yeah, so you have to be tactful in Memphis. But Knoxville's great. Nashville's great. Any of those markets. Kentucky. Tyson plant. Okay. Yeah, you want more than one big employer, by the way. So you need multiple. Because, I mean, you don't want like Walmart and then all of a sudden Walmart leaves or something happens or Tyson leaves and then that employer and so goes everybody with it. You need multiple employers as your hubs in your traffic, okay, for population. Very, 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 very important when you're analyzing a market. Yeah, jobs and population growth. It's going to be the key factors. Walmart's there, good. Tyson, yeah, see if there's a couple employers that are our main employers for Amarillo. And yeah, you just got to dive in. But that's a deal, like I was showing you. I mean, Jeff, on that deal, does it need a lot of renovation, by the way? Do you want to come up on camera real quick before we finish up? Or no? Because I'll literally break down that deal for you. Okay, cool. Cool, Jeff. You're coming up.
Me? You got me?
I got you, Jeff. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
You're live. Okay, so you say it's $1 million deal, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
That's what they're asking. I'm going to go in at 9.
Yeah. Okay. Even better. But yeah, whatever. I mean, and it makes sense at the 9.
Complete.
Like based on the metrics you've analyzed, does it give you a 14 to 20+% IRR, 10 or 10+% or 6 to 10% cash on cash? Any of those things?
I meet all of your requirements. You're quick.
Okay. Awesome. So those are just your baselines, right? Let's say it's 900 grand. I wish it were more because ideally you'd want a loan amount of $1 million or more.
I have another one that's right next to it. It's 40. It's 2 brothers. They each own one behind the other. The other's
okay, so you could buy them
units.
together.
I'm going to buy them both.
Are they next to each other?
They're right across an alley from each other.
Okay. What's the cost of the other one?
1.2.
Is that what you can get it for?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's for simple math, because this will actually be easier for you to get a better loan on it. It's weird, but how the financing works, $1 million loan amount is what you want. And are you going to renovate the property at all?
Each of them have about 75,000 that need into it for
That's it?
CapEx. Yeah. Paint, seal the
Okay, for
driveway
simple
and
math,
stripe
I'm just
it.
going to put in here 200. Okay. So, I mean, a little big for the, a first deal, but not horrible. To give you perspective, the 27 unit we did in Kansas City, we were all in on that one, about 2.5, including reno and everything, right? For my first syndicated deal. Okay. So here we go. You may be able to get this up to a 75% loan to cost. It's possible. So you could come in here and get a loan of $1,819,000, presuming the financials supported that. Okay. But that's going to include covering reno and stuff like that, right? But somewhere maybe in that. So you got about $607,000 in your equity to raise. This is what you're going to bring in. You're going to raise this. And if that deal will produce the returns that we're talking about, raising that 550, no problem. No problem. And then keep in mind, what's cool is you're going to bring in 60K. This is going to be sweet for you.
Yeah, I'm doing 3% up front.
Yeah, you're doing the acquisition fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making money. So you are going to get an acquisition fee coming out the gate of about 63 grand. So 60K is going in, you're getting 63,000 out if you did all those units at one time, which you can cross collateralize those things. The bank would do that and treat it because they're next to each other. They would treat it as kind of one property and probably drop loans on both of them. So that way you can get a loan amount large enough, because this loan you'll probably be able to get somewhere in the 5.5 to 5.85% rate right now.
Wow. Agency?
Yep. Agency Fannie Mae. Yep.
Okay.
All day long. Yeah. Walker, like the three lenders that are in the back end of our system for all of our mentees that everybody submits deals to, they're national brokers and lenders. So they provide different styles of financing. One would just be for the acquisition side and so forth. But yeah, you could go in there. That'd be agency debt right now on $1 million loan amount or more, somewhere in there. Because the 10-year treasuries come way down. Way down. Right. And so that's helping with these loans right now, where this would have been 6+% before. Now it's down into the mid 5s and upper 5s. And if you went out and got more of a renovation type loan, because what you could do is you could stack the loan here and you get one, and then you get some private lending for the renovation side. So you kind of to fill your gap financing. But that's how you would structure the deal. You take it down with an acquisition, but the key is leveraging the lenders, right? And having access to the structure and the financing to know how you can capitalize it. Because if all you're having to raise is 550 grand to take down all those units, and it makes financial sense all day long. All day long. Because it doesn't need that much reno. If you're saying it's only 75 grand, I mean, you could actually probably just do you could just do equity with that.
Right.
I mean, you really could. That's not a huge renovation project.
I was going to do in the raise the equity, the CapEx for it.
Yeah,
and,
which
and
you
the
could
remodel.
do. Yeah, which is totally fine. And that way you could just get a normal agency debt and you would be right in that range today.
Yeah, I'm the one that needs the sponsor.
So on that, Yeah, that'd be, I mean, you're talking about 70, what was that, 74 units? Is
Yeah,
that right?
40 and 32.
40 and 32, 72. Um, yeah, I mean, we would have to look at that. I don't know if we could do it or not, but it's, I mean, it's definitely, if anybody even on this call, because getting the loan is not the hard part, because the property is going to do 95% of the underwriting for you.
Right.
Okay, in terms of qualifying and all that stuff, you may need, because what the bank's going to look for, just so you know, like in the lending side, they're going to look at the financials of the property. That's going to check mark the loan. In terms of you, all they're going to look for with you is that you have 10% of that in 10% of that in liquidity between you, whoever's signing on the loan. So $180,000 in liquidity, right? And about 1.8 million total net worth. Okay, give or take. But between you and partners, whoever takes down that loan signing, that's not that difficult to do. So
the only thing I was told is right now agencies, so they're clamping down and they want at least 3 active, you know, in and outs or active currently projects. And I have none of that on my resume. And that may not be true. I don't know. I'm just hearing that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's totally true. I mean, that's changed. But yeah, obviously they're going to look at some basic experience for when, because now you're getting into a little larger deals, which is why we try and keep people 10 to 30 units, right, for your first ones, because then they're not as uptight. But when you start scaling up, right, then they do start looking at that for experience levels a little bit more. So that is, we have to look at that to answer that question. But that's also why we tell people, don't go after 50+ unit deals for your first ones for that exact reason. The lenders are going to say, hey, do you have any experience? And you're going to be like, no. And then you do need a partner that would have some, right? Which is, you know, opportunities there. So, okay. But that's how that deal is going to break down for you. Just FYI.
Like it.
Do you have the underwriting for it?
I do.
Okay.
I don't have your tool to put it in your format. I mean,
yeah, which is, yeah, and you don't need to. We can look at different models. That's odd why you clicked on the link and stuff and put in the info and it didn't.
I did. And I booked the call.
We'll go in there and check and see what's going on. Why, if it may be in spam or something's going on there, but we could see what's going on.
I booked the call for Thursday.
Okay. But yeah, we can look at that and just take a peek at the underwriting and see if anything's possible on it and be a resource.
That'd be awesome.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks for having this opportunity.
Yeah, hope it was super helpful for everybody. And we're diving into the weeds, doing it real for everybody tonight and not just giving everybody fluff. So. Cool. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and chime off here. But yeah, if anybody has any other questions or anything, go ahead and plug them in here. We'll spend some time going through this as we sign off. But I hope everybody had a great night. We went over. I don't care. I loved it. I hope you did too. And we're here to be a resource for everybody. So we will get on this for you. Cool. Awesome, everybody. Take care.